Yeah.
That's a hell
My
of a...
mocha got cold. My mocha got cold.
My mocha's getting, yeah, it happens.
So it's all good though. It's still good. It's still got that rich flavor. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all about that flavor. Okay, I guess we'll start. In 3, and 2, and 1. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the RG Podcast. I'm your host, Roberto, back at it again. Today is another wonderful episode. I have with me a guest that I've known for quite a while now. We've been friends, half in real life and half on the internet, so kind of an in-between friend, which has been great. I'd like to introduce my friend, Derrick. Derrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Roberto. I'm pleased to be here. I'm actually a huge fan of your other podcasts. Enjoyed all of them thoroughly. Listened to each one, it helped me actually a lot to pass time and get, some entertainment because I would listen to your podcast while at work, late nights, doing overtime. Yeah, I love it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Holy moly. I was not expecting that. I didn't realize that had such an impact. Yeah, I've always known that you've always given me some good feedback, telling me about things. So I've actually really appreciated all the messages you've sent me about the podcast. So thank you.
Yeah,
and it seems only fitting to have you on.
Hell yeah, I'm down as fuck.
Hell yeah. All right, let's get into it. So, Derrick, do you remember what year we actually met? Because I don't really remember.
Shoot. It's been so long. Wow. I would say this goes back to I don't remember. I just know that in the time that I would play with Ivan, Call of Duty, Black Ops Zombies, I one time came over, and that's when we, fully introduced ourselves.
Oh, really? Is that how that happened? Okay.
Yeah.
I assumed it was through, Brian and Alan, but no, I guess it was through Ivan.
No, yeah, it was through Ivan, but I think we met online first.
Yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't like a full introduction. We're like, oh, hey, I'm Roberto, I'm Derrick, and we played until, we saw each other in person and, met. That's when we actually introduced ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. And, yeah, what year was that? Was I still in high school? Yeah, we were in high school. Black Ops 2, yeah, that was released a long time ago.
Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1.
What was that?
Long time. Black Ops 1.
Black Ops 1? Ah, jeez. How long ago was that? Let's see, I'm Googling it now. Let's see.
I'd say
it was 2010. Wow, so it's been almost 10 years?
Oh, shoot.
That's crazy. It doesn't even feel that long.
Yeah, it does not.
Damn, okay, cool. But yeah, no, we've been playing games and acting a fool since.
Hey, it's been great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. From all the dumb games we play, all the stupid things we do.
All the stuff we do RARL too.
Yep, the hikes we do and whatnot. A lot of fun. I think some of my best memories I have with you. Do you remember that one game in Overwatch where we barely started the round in Oasis, I think it was Gardens, and I was playing Ryan, and I immediately just went up that elevator thing and immediately just jumped into where the enemies were in that crowded hallway, which normally would just kill me because I just dove like an idiot. But then
I remember that.
Our healers, the supports were doing really well, keeping me alive, and so I just kept swinging in there, and I just got my ult charge in a minute. In 60 seconds I got full ult charge, and I just did it, and we just team wiped them in the first 2 minutes of the round.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And we were both just diving in there. I think you were D.Va.
Yeah, I was D.Va for sure.
After I earth shattered, you just charged in as well.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. I was
gonna let my boy go in there by himself.
I'm pretty sure I still have that clip saved. It was a beautiful moment.
It was a very beautiful moment. For sure.
Yep. And when we're not playing video games, which is not very often, we're hiking? Usually hiking.
Yeah, usually doing that, going about. I remember we used to do the indoor rock climbing. We did I took you off-roading once in the Toyota.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was a good time.
Yeah, in the truck, right?
Yeah.
That was fun. Illegal off-roading. Always a good time.
The donuts were really good. Were you in there when they did the donut? I was not. I saw you guys from the distance, though.
I don't remember exactly. I just remember a lot of like, whoa. Because it was wild. Like, just doing all these dumb
just
things.
Acting boys, a fool.
Man. Yeah, just being rowdy boys. Which is, yeah, it's been a ton of fun. But one thing I really appreciate about you, though, is like, even though you act a fool, we do stupid things all the time. We say stupider things all the time. Yeah. Like, you're still like one of the most like wholesome and positive guys I know, also. And just like it's a nice balance. It's just like, I want to act a fool, but also say nice things to everyone all the time. Yeah, so something I've grown to really appreciate about you. Because I know sometimes I can get tilted in games. Happens all the time. I get quite stressed and angry. But then you're just always super chill. You're just like, it's all right. And I'm like, how are you doing this? So yeah, so I appreciate that about you. It's like one of those qualities that I'm jealous of. Like, I want to adopt that quality one day. One day I'll be a better person, and it'll be really cool.
It's gotta work at it day by day.
Yeah, day by day. We're all work in progress.
Oh yeah. So you want to introduce to us what we're drinking today?
Actually, I was going to talk to you a little more about you, because when we're not hiking or acting the fool online, you're actually, I call you my mechanic, unironically. Oh, yeah. When I tell people about like any car things I'm doing or like car troubles I have, it's like, oh yeah, my mechanic does this. And they're like, oh, you have a mechanic? I'm like, yeah. A guy who's significantly younger than me. What was it, like 3 years younger than me?
I am 23 right now.
Okay, so 26. So yeah, 3 years younger. Yeah. But yeah, you're my mechanic. Any car trouble I have, I let you know. When I visit Elsinore, like once a year, I let you check out my car and see what you think. Get that oil change, and then
I always give the best price that I can.
Yeah, and you were really helpful with that too. You helped me out a lot last year. I remember, like, you fixed a lot of things, and you're like, it's just this much. I'm like, what? Really? Just that much? And you're like, yeah, that's fine. It's like, it wasn't that hard. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing and you can do it proficiently, you can, just plus because you're a friend and like almost family. So that's the way I treat. That's the big difference. I treat customers and like friends and family.
Yeah, which is really dope of you. So thank you. I appreciate that, because a lot of times I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing with this car, and it's a salvage title, so there's something inevitably wrong in there that I haven't seen yet. We haven't seen it yet, so we'll see.
In the frame, like, it's probably just been like a small, like, hit and or I don't know, small dent here and there, and then they boom, slap a salvage title. Most of the time it's okay, but there are some cases where, oh yeah, you want to do an alignment, it's never going to be straight because the top right of the frame is bent and there's no way to get it straight. Just spend another $1,500 to straighten that out and you're good, but it's not even worth it. Car's probably worth like $2,000.
Yeah, at this point, my 2012 Honda Fit salvage title is probably worth, I don't know, $3,000 at most. But you hear what happened with Ivan's car though? His Honda Fit.
No, I did not.
So one of his wheels was like misaligned or something, and they tried fixing it because it was like, oh yeah, you can fix it on your own, but it requires some work. And they're like, okay, sure. So Ivan and our dad are working on it, and they found out that apparently there was like a redneck fix going on. That basically there was one part, I don't know the name of any part, so I'm just gonna like be very vague. But there was one part, they loosened it because they had to get access to that area, and they just found like a stack of like cardboard and metal pieces stacked very precariously that were squeezed together in this one position that was barely holding it together. As soon as they loosened it, it all fell apart, and after that the wheel was just way worse than it was before. And so at that point they were like, all right, we can't really drive this car anymore. We found out why it's a salvage title.
Interesting. I did not know that. They never told me anything about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he has more details on it, but I remember that I was thinking like, wow, that sucks. And I'm sure my car has something like that too, and I don't know what it is, but one day we'll find out. For now, the biggest issue I have is the squeaky clean tires. They always squeak. Yeah, like you fix them and for like a few months they were good. They were silent, but then they came back. The squeaks came back.
Oh, you mean the brakes, not the tire?
Oh yeah, did I say tires? I meant brakes.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah. Squeaky clean brakes. But yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was I took off the rotors and I scuffed them up. I gave them like a different pattern. So what happens is the pad gets like a pattern. After so many like times it's breaking, it gets like this edge on the very corner of the pad, and that usually forms like a small amount of dust, and that dust usually makes the noise. So I give like a small like a pattern to the rotor to give like a different pattern of all the dust, and then I grind down the part of the pad that grabs to get that layer of a flat pressed dust out of there, and then I just put it all back together. Usually that works.
Yeah, and like that, it definitely did work for a while. But then it came back. Like, not a big deal. It's clearly like it's basically just a aesthetic issue, which I don't care too much about. I mean, hell, that my car got hit while I was at work, and
Yeah.
I just have this dent with a couple scratches on it now, and I'm like, I don't really care. It doesn't affect the performance of the car or anything like that. No real damage was done, only on the plastic. So it's like, I don't care. It's fine.
As long as as long as it takes you from point A to point B,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter how like.
Yeah, exactly. All the important things still work. My alternator's fine. My battery's good. My tires work. My AC works. My aux cord still works. So like, my speakers still work. So those are the essentials.
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty happy about that. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Another unique experience that we both have, that we shared, was that backpacking trip through Yosemite into Inyo Forest. A crazy time.
Oh yeah, very crazy. I made the mistake of bringing a summer-rated sleeping bag.
Yep. And we went in late September. Last year, late September. And you brought a summer-rated sleeping bag.
It was good. I learned a big lesson that you freeze every night. And let me tell you, summer-rated sleeping bag does not help it.
I believe that. Because I, too, learned a valuable lesson that if it's going to be your first backpacking trip, maybe don't go for a week-long backpacking trip as your first one. And double check that all your equipment works properly first. Like, thoroughly test it, not just do a quick test at home. Like, my sleeping bag, or not sleeping bag, my sleeping pad had a hole in it. It was one of those air-inflated ones.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And, yeah, it's a really small hole because when you inflate it, it stays puffy for a little bit, but then 30 minutes later, it's gone. And so when I tested it, of course, I didn't lay there for 30 minutes. I just laid there for like a minute. I was like, okay, it works. I'm satisfied. And I packed it up. And this is what I get for trying to buy a really cheap sleeping pad from an ex-coworker. That prick. But oh well. It happens. But another really interesting thing about trip is I think that trip was literally the closest to death I've ever been. Just from pure exhaustion, being sick, unable to eat, unable to sleep. Yeah, no, it was holy crap. In that aspect, this was one of probably the worst trip I have had, hands down. It was the reason this even happened was just because we were getting pushed to our physical limit every day. Well, I know I was. And I warned the organizer. I was like, hey, I haven't really physically trained for this trip, so maybe we should take it easy. And he was like, haha, it's okay. I haven't trained either. But the thing is, this guy, he's naturally fit. He's been doing sports his whole life. So it's like, yeah, of course he's going to be fine. And so at first there was some consideration being taken. Like, okay, we only hiked, 6 out of the 8 miles today, but, tomorrow we'll hike the rest or whatever. And that was fine. I I was still sick and not eating well, but I was like, whatever, I can at least keep going. But then we just kept going, and there was this issue where y'all wanted to like finish the whole trip as fast as you could. They're like, oh, we still have 6 hours of sunlight left. Let's just keep going then. Me and my like dying ass in the back, like, no, let's just stop so I can like actually try to get some sleep in, and eat well.
I remember the first days I was getting like 1 to 3 hours of sleep every night because it was so cold. I just couldn't sleep, shivering every night. Ice in the mornings inside the sleeping bag from all the what is it? From your breath.
Oh, seeing the fog on your breath, the moisture in your breath. Yeah.
Yeah, the moisture rising and freezing at the top of your tent. It was just nutty.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was an insane trip. Yeah, and it did not help all the time. Just like, oh, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. I still remember, what was it? The second day was like the most intense day because we had like a altitude climb of like 1,000. Yeah. We had basically going up a mountain.
Yeah, we just went up a mountain.
Yeah, crossed the peak and then went back down. And that took the whole day. And what did not help at all was I'm physically exhausted at this point, sick, so I can't really push myself very hard. But then I got left behind. Y'all left me like a quarter mile behind.
I just went straight up ahead.
Yeah, no, everyone did. That was the thing. Everyone else on that trip did. And it's just like, all I could think to myself was, if I get seriously hurt, or if I fall unconscious for any reason, no one's going to be able to help me. Like, I am by myself. I can literally die today, and no one would know. And so it was frustrating and terrifying. But all I could think was like, you know what? I just want to get some rest, and like, let's just stay focused. Don't think about that. Survive. Let's like think about survival. Let's just do that. So I just kept going and going, and it was really hard. I had to take so many breaks because I had like zero energy all the time, and just pushing myself all the time, pushing forward. Finally crossed that peak, and I thought to myself, oh, surely I'll be able to see the rest of my crew once I reach this peak. And I look over the peak, and I don't see anybody, and I'm like, holy fuck, where is everyone? And so, yeah, I just kept going. Still remember just reaching that peak, how kind of surreal it felt, because like we're walking through like forests and whatnot.
Yeah,
and like you would see some people every now and then. But then I reached this peak, and it's just me, and it's getting late. The sun is starting to set, and it's just all rock all around me. I'm by myself, and I just hear like a bunch of wind. I feel the wind blowing, and I'm just like, huh. This feels like a moment. But unfortunately, I cannot enjoy it because I might die. So let's just keep going. And then, yeah, I kept going. Started going downhill, which was nice. But I was still just painfully exhausted. Oh, yeah. And I just kept going.
More dangerous too. It's actually more dangerous than going up.
Yeah, because it's easier to mess up your knees and ankles, for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, I just kept going and going. I even called out to you guys several times, like just yelling as loud as I could down the valley, and I got no response. And I'm like, holy crap, this sucks. And since I'm on the other side of the mountain now, I'm losing sunlight really, really fast.
I remember that part.
Yep. And I was just like, this is bad and getting worse. I hope I'm almost done soon. And so I just kept going and going and going until eventually I was like, I need a long break. I can't do this. And so I just leaned up against a rock, which was a pretty good angle for a backpacker. So I was just laying there for a while, just trying to catch my breath because I had no breath. I had no energy. Just going, I'm just laying there for a while, just trying to plan, like, what am I going to do now? It's flat at least, so I can at least walk that. I'm like thinking to myself, like, what is my game plan if I don't find my crew soon? Can I survive a night on my own? I'm like starting to plan this in my head. Like, where am I going to sleep tonight by myself? And how am I going to survive by myself tonight? And I'm just thinking, like, goddamn, this is not good. But then a miracle happened. I'm just laying there and I hear some footsteps. And what do you know? It's Derrick coming over the ridge. And he sees my sorry ass just laying there dying. And he comes over and he's just like, dude, you almost got this. Come on, you can do it. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, like a quarter mile, less than a quarter mile. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I'm about to get up, and he's like, no. I got this. He grabs my backpack, and he's like, just go. And holy shit, yeah, without the backpack, hiking's a lot easier than backpacking. So it was really, really easy. But yeah, no, it was really, I was literally right almost there. And apparently you guys were only there for like half an hour or something like that. And so,
around. So
okay.
What happened was I reached the spot, and then James didn't like that area. He's like, this isn't a good spot. Let's move forward a little bit more. I was like, really? I was like, Roberto's still way back there. He's like, he said he'll make it.
Of course he
so
did.
We keep moving forward, and then we reached another spot, and then he still didn't like it. And so we were like, okay, let's keep moving forward, and then finally we reached that spot with the two little lakes. It's like, no, actually, no one's called lakes. They're like little ponds. And then he's like, okay, let's call this place. And then I just threw my backpack down and I just ran. I just ran back. I was like, I didn't think of anything else. I didn't even set up tent. I didn't set up tent. I didn't eat. I didn't anything. I just put my backpack down and I ran all the way back to get you. That was the history of me coming back for you.
Yeah, your side of the story. Well, what a bro. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciated that because I was not doing good at the time.
Yeah, because I was at the very top of the peak of the mountain. I saw you like midway, and I was like, shit. I feel bad, but if I make it first, I can come back for it. And then that was my game plan. Like already halfway through the mountain, and like halfway through the mountain, my legs are cramping up, like hella hard. Yeah. I would take a step and then like, oh nope, can't take that step. Gotta wait it out.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, the first days are the heaviest days of the hiking of the backpacks, because that's all the food, all the waters, everything's fresh. It's packed, all the nuts, everything.
Yeah.
Your backpacks are just at the heaviest that they can be, and that's at the beginning of the.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and if you want a good visual, dear listener, of how pathetic I looked, if anyone who's listening has watched the first season of One Punch Man, you will remember a character on there named Moomin Rider. Essentially, he's a quote-unquote superhero who rides a bike. Yeah, that's literally his power. He can ride a bike. It's not a fancy bike, it's just a bike. It's a good one, but it's a normal bike. Anyways, premise of the show is a bunch of superheroes, different rankings, and they protect the world from monsters. And different levels of monsters. Some small ones, some big ones, etc., etc. Anyways, one day a big monster comes out and starts terrorizing the city and starts killing people, and none of the stronger heroes are in the area. They're on their way, but they're far from the place, and the big monster's about to kill a ton of innocent civilians trapped in the area. But you know who is in the area? Moomin Rider, the guy with a bike. So as the monster is distracted by other smaller heroes, Moomin Rider is trying his best to catch up. He eventually does, and he immediately jumps in the fight by throwing his bike at the monster. Which, of course, this monster is about 50 feet tall. Doesn't really care about a 4-foot bike being thrown at him. But Moomin Rider doesn't care. He knows he has a duty to these people. But of course, he gets his ass handed to him really hard. He nearly dies. He's just getting beat up left and right. But he gets up every single time, trying to buy as much time as he can for the people. Eventually, he just cannot fight anymore. And the monster just sideswipes him. He goes flying. And what do you know? He gets caught by the main protagonist of the show, One Punch Man. And he's there. He catches him. And One Punch Man, if you haven't seen it, is the strongest character in the show. He's way overpowered. That's the kind of premise of the show, the fact that he's overpowered. And he holds Moomin Rider in his hands, sees that he's bloodied and beat up, and all he says to him with a smile on his face is, "You did good. You can rest now." And he puts him down and kills the monster. And so to me, when you came back for me, I felt like Moomin Rider and you were One Punch Man. I was like, oh, he's here to save me. Thank God. But yeah, no, that trip was crazy because the rest of the trip was still like that every day. Oh, we can go a little further. We can keep going. Oh, it's fine. You'll make it. Oh, look, you made day 2, and day 2 was really hard, but you can make the rest. And I'm just like, dude, what about my health? Don't you care about that? The answer was no. That was clearly, but it happens. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating to deal with all that, but it's weird. I don't think about it that way too much, only when I'm telling the story, which isn't very often. The way I think about it to myself usually is the way you phrased it, actually. You said to me on the trip, or was it at the end of the trip or something like that? You just said, like, isn't it cool to know how far you can push your limits? Like, what you can actually accomplish? Like, look, you did all this. Like, yeah, it was a lot, but like, you can do this. That's what you're capable of. And at first, when you first said this to me, I was just like, shut the fuck up. Because I was sick. I had lost so much weight. I had 0 sleep. I was just dying. But then as I got better, I was just like, you know what? He has a point. Like, I would have never thought I could have done that.
Yeah, you could have done that. You never know how far you can reach until you try it. Physically, you got to try it. That's what I do every day at the gym. That's what I do every day at work. I try to push my limits. It's the only way you're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Nobody else is gonna do it for you.
Yeah, you're right. That's the only way to know your limits is to push past them and see what you can do. But yeah, it was a wild time. Don't get me wrong, listeners. I had a fantastic time. I saw a lot of great things. Got to experience a lot of amazing things. So many amazing moments. Thousand Island Lake was so beautiful.
Yeah. That was my favorite day. One, because that was the freshest fish I've ever ate. It had nothing. It was just fish. It had no seasoning, no pepper, no nothing. It's just fish. We cooked it and I ate it. It was so good.
Yeah, one redeeming quality of the organizer was he brought some fishing gear, and he that morning he caught 3 fish, 2 brook trout and 1 rainbow trout, and no one brought seasoning, so which is fine. He cleaned it, we cooked it, and then we ate it, and that was like the only like real fresh food we had like the whole trip.
And it was so good.
Yeah. You know the thing that trip made me really appreciate and love? Ritz crackers and easy cheese. We had a day where we kind of finished early and we actually took a break, and we were just sitting there, and I'm trying to gain my strength, trying to think like, what can I actually eat, because I have 0 appetite but I need to eat. And then of course Ivan broke out the Ritz crackers and easy cheese, and as soon as I had one, it just tasted amazing. It was like, this is what the gods eat. Like, it was amazing. Like,
the gift of the gods.
Yeah, it was incredible. Of course, now I eat it, I'm just like, oh, it's just a Ritz cracker. But for someone who hasn't eaten well the past like few days, who's exhausted and all that, it was just like, holy shit! Like, all the fat content in there, all the salt. It was like, I could just taste all of it, and it was so good, so tasty. And the easy cheese too. That was nice. It all worked together really, really well. But yeah, no, it was a wild trip. I took some pictures. They're on Facebook. I look back on them every now and then. But yeah, it was a wild time. And there's some more bullshit that happened, but I'll leave it at that for now. It was
a good time.
No, yeah.
I remember at the end of the trip, we went to that little restaurant and we had our food.
Yeah.
And I just remember, actually eating food.
Yeah, the burger.
Yeah, the burger was just refreshing. It was just so rejuvenating.
Yeah, the first real meal in the week.
Yeah, it was just the greatest.
Yeah, it was crazy. Expensive, but
very expensive. But huge shout out for the restaurant for being
there. Yeah, it was great. It worked out. Yeah, wild. But yeah, I just have a lot of memories with you, fool. Like, a lot of silly ones, but a lot of cool ones too. And I feel really fortunate to have you in my life, because I feel like every person that I've had as a guest on this podcast so far, in some way, shape, or form, they really push me to be a better person. And the way you kind of frame things, how you see things, like, I always have admired that so much. So there's a lot of strength in you, not just physically, but just who you are as a person as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
And
I appreciate
thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Wild stuff. All right, Derrick, tell us what we're drinking.
So we have. I myself made mine. I made an espresso with mocha. You told me you got yours from Starbucks, correct?
Yep, we're both just sipping on some mochachinos.
Yep.
Yeah. So why did you pick mochachinos?
All right. So first off, I'm not a complete coffee addict, but I love the flavor of coffee. I like the the first sip in the morning. Oh, actually, scratch that. When you first open the ground coffee, that first whiff, more rejuvenating in my life. It's just that smell gets me every morning. So after that, I used to drink coffee every day, and then I got tired of it, and I was like, maybe I need to change something up. So I did. I looked around on the internet, and like, what are some different things? And then mocha popped up. Oh, chocolate and coffee. Never heard of it. I want to try it. I tried it for the first time, and the rich flavor that I tasted, when you actually use good ingredients, it was so good. I remember drinking like 5 cups that one morning, and I was like, this is not healthy, but it's really good.
Your digestive system must have been on the fritz that day.
Yeah. It was something new to me. It was something that it was just so new to me, and it was so good, and I was like, I can't stop. Help. So what is your take on it?
Well, I'm not usually a coffee drinker, and by that I mean I haven't had coffee in like 4 years.
Wow.
And additionally, I usually don't drink hot beverages. So yeah, this was a double whammy for me of how unusual this is for me to have. Luckily, I mean, it worked out because I ordered the coffee, I came back, and a little behind the scenes for the listeners, it took me about 45 to 50 minutes to get this set up. And the reason for that is this is actually the first episode we're recording online. Derrick and I are not sitting across the room from each other or across the table from each other. He's sitting at his desk in his hometown, and I am sitting in my place. So we're actually hundreds of miles apart right now. So it took me a while to figure out all the details and get all the software set up exactly right. And during that time, the mochaccino actually cooled down enough where I can actually sip it comfortably. So I'm actually quite enjoying it now. But yeah, it's cool. It's just, it was unusual that when you asked for coffee, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, here we are, coffee.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of alcohol. I do ask you, because I know your knowledge on alcohol is boom, through the roof. But me personally, I'm not a fan of alcohol.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, you've had some drinks before.
Yeah, I've had some. Yeah,
but yeah, I definitely know you as someone who doesn't drink like rarely drinks would be the appropriate way to put it. But no, yeah, if mocha is something you really like, then I'm glad we got to like partake in it, share in it. It's a good drink.
Yeah, very, very easygoing, for like a calm, relaxing.
Yeah, for sure, and especially now we're getting to like the colder time of the year. You can just snuggle up with a blankie, maybe have a fire going or the heater's on, watch some Netflix and sip on a mochaccino. That's the vibe I'm getting right now. It's very warm and toasty. It's nice. All right, Derrick, what is the album we listened to for this podcast?
All right, I'm excited for this one because you and I both know that we're huge fans of RTJ. And the one that we are reviewing is RTJ3.
Yes. RTJ. RTJ, also known as Run the Jewels, is a rap hip-hop duo consisting of Killer Mike and LP. Killer Mike is from Georgia, whereas LP is from Boston. Am I right about that? I think I'm right about that. Let me double check. LP is the rapper and producer of Run the Jewels. He makes the beats and writes his own lyrics.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah,
legend
legendary beats. These beats are insane.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. He was born in New York, apparently. All right, so close. So LP from New York, Killer Mike from Georgia. Just an incredible duo. I was reading up on their history. Apparently, they first met through Cartoon Network. One of the executives just introduced the two. And when I say Cartoon Network, I mean specifically Adult Swim. So not really like a children's show. Yeah, Adult Swim, which I didn't know. And so yeah, how would you classify them? Yeah, they're hip hop, they're rap. But let's see. I've once seen them described as hardcore hip hop. I don't know if I would go with that, but it's definitely different. Underground, there you go. Underground hip hop, I would definitely call it that. Underground. Just really good stuff. I usually don't listen to a lot of underground stuff, so when I heard these guys and really latched onto it, it didn't even occur to me like this sounds underground or anything like that. It's just like, I really like this.
Yeah, and actually, huge shout out for you for introducing to them. You're the one who showed me RTJ.
I actually completely forgot about that. But yeah, no, how I heard about them was, I think on Reddit, just someone posted a music video or two of their stuff, and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, I really like the flows and the things they're saying in these songs.
Super good flows.
And then I heard like, oh yeah, they just dropped an album recently. I was like, oh, okay, I'll listen to it. And I loved it. And people were like, oh yeah, their other albums are great too. And I listened to those, and I was like, oh yeah, they're pretty good too. But RTJ3 is by far my favorite. And what's interesting about the discography is Run the Jewels 1. It was released for free digitally. So there was no way to buy it. It was just them just kind of releasing a project out there and be like, hey, check it out if you want. Because they weren't really officially a band. They were kind of a band, initially when they worked together, LP was producing beats for Killer Mike, and Killer Mike was featured on one of LP's albums, and that was it. And then one day they were like, hey, want to just create an album together and see how that turns out? And did it, and it turned out to be an incredible success. And they're like, all right, let's just keep doing it then. And it worked out. So they've made RTJ1, RTJ2, which people say is their best album. They also made a remix album from RTJ2 called Meow the Jewels, which is really funny because it just replaced all the sounds with meows. Sure, it's like pitch shifted and like stretched and all that. They add effects to it, but it's just literally all just meows. And it sounds funny, and it is funny, but the song Meowperty is genuinely a fantastic song. Like, really well made. The contrast of the soft meows in the background versus Killer Mike's aggressive and heavy delivery is like astounding. It works really well. So I listen to that song all the time. I love it. Another cool thing about Meow the Jewels was all the profits gotten from that album was actually donated to charity. So that was a cool move on those guys' part. And they actually put a lot of work into it. They made music videos for it. They hired some cool artists for it. They had Snoop Dogg on that song. He was basically just talking. It was just them recording him talking. He wasn't actually rapping on it, but still, it was a fantastic, fantastic album. But anyways, we are talking about Run the Jewels 3. Run the Jewels 3, which released, what was it, 2017?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. Well, close. I think it was 2016, but in December.
Oh, yeah, late 2016. November 2016.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, close. So, incredible album. Just, if you've listened to RTJ1, RTJ2, you know exactly what to expect from RTJ3. But in addition, you get like the production on it is cleaner, it's crisper at some points.
Very.
There's a bit of a story that gets tied along. Not super clear in the beginning, but definitely more clear towards the latter half of the album, what the story is about. Themes are really well done. The delivery that they spit, it's like, it's all amazing. But yeah, let's just jump into it. So the first song on here, Down. Down, I think, is a pretty good introduction to the album.
Great.
Yeah, what do you think of it?
So my take on it was, I like how, I think it starts with, I hope.
Yeah.
Hope with the highest of hope. And it's like, telling me that he's, you know, in a lower state of mind. You know, he's not, how do you say it?
Yeah, he's kind of being more reflective.
More reflective. He's trying to, you know, see the bigger picture. Trying to, or waiting on a better days. And then he also says after that I never go back to the trap, and my days of dealing with dope. So he's obviously come from like a much worse lifestyle from where he is now.
Yeah.
So I like that intro. So he's giving like like you said, reflective. What did you take on?
Yeah, no, I really like it. This is more a song that's an ode to their past and the progress they've made since then. And like you said, he's just kind of reflecting on. Killer Mike opens this like somber reflection, like, "Hey, I used to have to sell like dope to make ends meet, but now since I've been successful with my music career, I no longer have to do that, and I hope I never I have to go back, because that's a dangerous line of work and a terrible way to live." And so he's kind of being like, I hope this doesn't go back. I don't go back. And the energy of this song kind of reflected on the track Down. It's more of a lower energy, very, very reflective. But then you get LP's verse, and he's kind of the opposite.
Yeah,
he's just like, "Hey, guess what? We're here. You're gonna need a bigger boat." It's like, what's up? Like, we got this good energy going. Yeah. And he kind of building themselves up, just like, watch out, we're about to kill shit on this album with this. It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be amazing. And what I really like about like the dichotomy is, well, in essence, that it exists. Like LP and Killer Mike, oftentimes they kind of reflect the same amount of energy with their own takes on it, but other times they have opposite energies and it complements each other.
Yeah, I love that part. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
and
a lot of times.
I want to add on.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's Killer Mike being reflective like he is now, kind of being somber, kind of being like, oh, okay. But then LP comes by to like boost them up, like, nah, be proud of where you are. Be proud of these things. Like, we're doing good. This is a good thing we are doing, and we're killing it. Sometimes it's the opposite way, as we'll hear later in the album. The LP is more reflective, and Killer Mike comes in and boosts them up. Yeah. And so that's what I really like about this song. But yeah, in the hook, I really like the last line of the hook. But even birds with broken wings want to fly, y'all.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah. And it's just like, no matter who you are, where you're from, like how bad things gotten for you, like you still want that success, no matter if the odds are against you. And you should be promised an opportunity to seize all that. And it's something that they elaborate more on in the album as we go on. But yeah, I do like that it kind of starts this way. More somber, much more reflective, and kind of thinking about like who they are and how they got here. But then we jump to the next track, Talk to Me. Talk to Me, just a great song. What do you think of Talk to Me?
So my first intake on this song is how they say. So in the beginning, it's we returned from the depths of the Badlands. So they came back, obviously, and then they say, we with a gun and a knife in our waist went to war with the devil and the shaitan. He wore a bad topi and a spray tan.
Toupee,
my bad. So they're coming back from something with weapons or some sort to enemies, or with two enemies are. I mean, the devil. He's an angel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I never looked up what a shaitan is. If you want to inform me.
Yeah. So basically, what that bar is saying is Killer Mike is announcing like, "Hey, we've been quiet for a while now, but we're back and in full force, angrier as ever, because we went to war with the devil and the shaitan. Shaitan is another word for Satan, and he wore a bad toupee and a spray tan. Who do we know right now that's in power that has a bad toupee and a spray tan?" So yeah, he's calling out Trump. He's saying that we're gonna fight him and the things he stands for. Yes, folks, this album will get political. Very, very political. But yeah, he's like, we're back. We're ready to fight this through our way, and no worries. And he kind of goes on to say, like, he got off the plane, but then he gets worried because customs found a joint in my passport. And it's like, Mike, you're not supposed to have that. But then he says that no issues actually come up from it. Like he bribed, he had to bribe his way back, but he still made it. And he's like, oh my God, it's a miracle as a black man in America with drugs on him, and to make it out with just a bribe. Like, hey, we worked out. But yeah, he's kind of saying that he came back and knows the political climate, the social political climate of the States is really, really bad. And it's a lot of hostilities, and there's a lot of shit that they have to deal with as who they are as underground rappers. And this is not their first time delving into politics or social issues like this. If you listen to RTJ 1 or 2, you will know very clearly they are not shy of getting themselves involved in politics.
I'd like to add on in one of those verses, I remember Killer Mike says, "Born black, that's dead on arrival. My job is to fight for survival." Damn.
Yeah.
What a goddamn. He's not afraid to hide anything. He just puts it out. It's like, this is my life. I have to live it this way, and I will.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that line too. Born black, that's dead on arrival. I'm just like, shit. Like, he's right. Like, where we are right now, having a complexion that is too dark will instantly put you in a bad place. Right now, there are people being killed left and right, completely innocent people just because they were the wrong color. Men killed in their own homes because a police officer thought they were, I don't know, doing some sort of crime because they were the wrong skin color. So, yes, very easy to see why he would feel that way, because I feel that way. Yeah, sure, we're not black, you and I, Derrick, but we are not the correct complexion as well. So we have to be extra cautious of it all. Which sucks. But luckily, Run the Jewels, they don't have to be extra cautious because they have the power, they have the influence to speak up about these things. And so it's really, really cool. One thing I was surprised about the track, Talk to Me, is like, I thought this would be the introduction song. Don't get me wrong, Down is a great intro song, but Talk to Me is also really good because basically the very end, I told y'all suckers, I told you on RTJ1, then I told you again on RTJ2, and you still ain't believe me. So here we go, RTJ3. And so he's like, we made a point in RTJ1, got critical acclaim. We reiterated that point and built up on it on RTJ2 and got even better critical acclaim. And y'all still not believing what we're doing. So here we go, get RTJ3. So get ready. Buckle up, kids. And it's a great segue into the next song, Legend Has It. Legend Has It is probably like the big single from the album. So if you've heard any songs from RTJ3, it would be Legend Has It. Legend Has It is a fantastic song. It was like one of the first songs I heard by them. I watched the music video. Great video. And what I love about it is just like, it's basically just them kind of reflecting but being honest about like the reputation they have now since they've been successful with RTJ1, RTJ2, and how much they've gotten involved with basically kind of stating their opinion, and but not only that, but being like really active about it. So basically they're activists essentially. And that garners bad reputation. Anyone who's anyone, if you get involved in politics in any way, shape, or form, you will be demonized by those who disagree with you.
Yeah, of course.
And Killer Mike and LP, they don't give a shit. They go full, they go raw really hard. And so they kind of talk about like this reputation they've garnered, but at the same time, spitting what I think is some of the most disgustingly amazing flows that I've ever heard. Like when I heard this song and it's the way their flow, their way with words, their command of diction, I was just like, I have to follow these guys. They're so clever and they still tell great stories and make good points while using bars that sound so pleasant to the ear. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of Legend Has It?
Oh my god. I'm just gonna give you the intro because intro is just so good. Hear what I say. We are the business today. Fuck shit is finished today. RT and J. We the new PB and J. God, it's so good. That flow, that intro is just
yeah,
so good. It's just that intro just got, it hooks you in. Oh, obviously it hooks you in. And then you come down to we are the murderers pair that went to jail and we murdered the murderers there. I was like, dude, these guys are just on another level. They're saying, we are the shit, and we destroy anybody, we destroy it. We go to the jail, so that's like the jail to them would be like the music industry, right? And then we murdered the murderers there. We murdered all the artists there. That's my take on those lyrics right there, and I love it so much. They're just drawing with words. Beautiful, beautiful duo, man. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's something you take away from this song, if you haven't already taken it away from the previous songs, is LP and Killer Mike have different strengths. They have similar energy, but different strengths. So whereas Killer Mike, his command of flow, as I mentioned before, is astounding. Like, it's insane how good he's able to craft these sentences that make very clear points while sounding like poems to your ear. Whereas LP, he does a little bit of that too, but he has very clever analogies or metaphors that really stick to you the first time you hear them. For example, he has this one part says, doctors of death curing our patients of breath. And it's like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, it's so badass sounding and it makes sense and it rhymes and it flows pretty well. There's a ton of other parts that are like this. This part. I don't know how to not spit like a lout. I'll spill a pound of my kids on your couch.
I love that part.
It's so silly. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? And he's just saying, I don't give a shit. I'll jerk off on your couch. You already demonized me. You think I give a shit about my reputation that you have for me? Like, who cares?
He's just out there. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so good. There's so many other moments I want to highlight. This one's from Killer Mike. If I die today and it's hell I should pay, tell the Lord Mikey said fuck it was fun. And I'm like, oh dude, that's so cool. Just the positive, yet morbid energy he has. Later, LP, he says, I'm fucking magic. In fact, I'm a warlock of talk. I got a unicorn horn for a... But then instead of rhyming it with the obvious cock, you just hear a sampled voice that says stop. Yeah. And it's so silly.
They're so creative. You can't not give them the credit they deserve.
Yep. And here's another example of Killer Mike's flow on this one. I'll rent a room at the Ritz. I'll sip a fifth of the whisk. I'll smoke a dub in a tub. Then I will split both my wrists. And it's like, yeah, it's very dark lyrics, but damn, does that flow really, really well. And this works really, really nice. One last one, because there's other stuff I wanted to talk about on the song. Yeah. Again, Killer Mike, he closes the song with...
Oh, yeah, so good. That ending.
Yeah, the ending. And that's from the crew you can trust. Warranty plus for fucking shit up. We are the no-gooders, do-gooders, known to the dancers and dealers of doers of dust.
So good. Jesus Christ.
And it's like, holy crap. The first time I heard that, I was like, I have to learn it. Like, I have to learn exactly what he's saying, but more importantly, how he's saying it. And so I listened to that part like 50 times in a row, just trying to match it. And so good. But anyways, so yes, this song is more reflective on like the reputation, not giving a shit about it. If you watch the music video, you see there's even more meaning behind what they're saying. The music video basically just has them in a police lineup, and a witness trying to like point them out. And it becomes very clear as the music video goes on that as they reset the lineup over and over again, because the witness is either unsure of who the person is in the lineup, or they keep picking the quote unquote wrong person. You can tell the cops involved are trying to get the witness to pick LP and Killer Mike. They're trying to pin this crime on them, even though they didn't do it. and it's clear that there is no evidence that they did it, yet the cops again and again reset the lineup. And every time they add more and more ridiculous people in there. At first, it's a normal group of people, a couple of dudes, whatever. Then they add like school children in the lineup. It's like, and they tell the witness, clearly it wasn't the school children. Maybe it's those two guys in the middle, because a child didn't do that. But maybe those two guys. And the witness is still not sure. So they change the lineup again, add a bunch of nuns. It's like, okay, clearly not the nun, right? So pick the guys in the middle. And the witness is still not sure. It's like, no, I don't think it was them. I don't think they did it. Until eventually, like, the whole lineup is just like cops, except for them. And it's like, clearly it wasn't a cop. It has to be them, right? And the witness, of course, is being bullied over and over again by the cops. And it's like, fine, I guess it was them. Like, great, that's all we needed to hear. And they end up arresting the two. And at the end of the video shows that all the extra people in the lineup were all paid actors by the cops. And it's like, oh yeah, thanks for coming by, just so we can pin the crime on them. And they're speaking on like, this happens in real life all the fucking time. Just bullying the witness, forcing him to pick someone who clearly didn't do it. But of course the cops, they're on quotas. And so they're like, all right, well, we need to pin someone. And it's clearly them. So look, Killer Mike, big black guy. LP, this guy who just doesn't give a shit. And he's wearing dark clothes. He has a cigarette in his mouth. So like, oh, what a disgusting human being. We should put them away. In the middle of the video, there's also a part where there's a chanting of their acronym, RTJ. And on the screen, you see a number, like a year and a number. And that number gets exponentially bigger every year. And you realize that number is meant to represent the prison population in the United States. And how wildly out of control it has grown over the past few years. And yeah, so legend has it has a lot. It's talking about a lot of things.
I didn't know that part. Yeah, I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah, rewatch the music video. You'll see it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, fantastic flow, great message behind it, just cool stuff. But we're gonna jump now to Call Tickerton. There's one thing I do appreciate about Run the Jewels. A lot of their track names don't really make sense. I'm sure they're references to something, but it's just like, what does that even mean? I'm reading it now. Apparently named after an automated concert ticket purchasing system. I guess that makes sense, since the hook on this just says live at the Garden over and over again. All right, makes sense. Call Tickerton. What do you think of it, Derrick?
All right, so for my first intake is that sample. The beat is just so good.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so addicting. So addicting. I loved it. Like the first like 10 seconds into the song, I'm like, wow, this beat is smooth. It's just smooth.
Yeah, it's insane. This is like their most danceable song. This song makes me want to dance, like hard. Not like a slow dance, but like almost crump style dancing. Even though I don't know how to crump at all, it makes me want to move my limbs like crazy. Because this song, just that energy behind the melody, the instrumentation, the production, it's so good.
So first thing that I can come out on these lyrics is so I remember in the music video how they're like, yeah, you know, they're getting ready like backstage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're getting ready backstage and they come out, they're getting hyped. They're saying the people are yelling, the crowd's yelling. DJ. Yeah, let's go. and they go out there and there's nobody, but then they start performing anyways. I love that representation. So lyrical side, this is the second verse. I like, you can tell by the stench in the air, blood's on the ground, opportunity is here. I'm looking into space, like, is anybody there? You know, like, representing, can't figure out the word for this. You know, just asking, is anybody out there? Like a certain type of audience, I guess.
Okay, yeah, just calling out to like their audience, or if anyone's even listening, if there even is
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, you can keep going. Go for it.
No, you can go. No worries.
Okay, so what I really like about the song is, if you like listen to the whole thing or read the whole thing, one, LP and Killer Mike kind of build off each other, because that line you just mentioned is prefaced by LP's verse, where he says, can't get past me, I'm stuck in the future, shit ain't all it's cracked up to be, the hovercraft's cool, but the air is so putrid. And then he says the air is putrid, and Killer Mike starts his verse by saying, you can tell by the stench in the air. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, they're both talking about how the air stinks, which is not, like, fascinating, but, like, it's cool that he starts off where LP left off. And if you really, like, look at the lyrics or listen to it closely, basically, they're just talking about an alien invasion happening on Earth, which is what the video kind of shows. And they're talking about, like, all the weird and terrible scenery that they're seeing. There's chaos, people are screaming, people are acting really irrationally, so like oh, it's the end of the world, so you might as well just start robbing people or doing crazy shit, because like we're all gonna die soon anyway, so let's just do crazy shit. And so like, yeah, people are robbing each other, people are robbing banks as well, threatening to kill each other, people are giving into their vices, like their like sex. You know, Killer Mike talks about some sex, LP talks about sex too, and just like, you know, the world's ending, might as well just have as much sex, alcohol, drugs, and robbing and killing as much as we can before it's all over.
Yeah, before it's all over.
And it took me a while to figure this out. I think I figured this out like 5 or 6 days ago. I'm not sure if it's actually true, but my interpretation that helps me really, really appreciate the song is, if you really read like all the stuff they're talking about, like all the crazy things they're talking about, you'll realize people today, like in real life, are already doing all of these things. So the behavior we're seeing right in the song isn't that crazy. So why are they talking about it in the context of like an alien apocalyptic invasion? And I think what they're trying to say is, in our present day, it is so bad, like the social political climate, the economy, like all of it. It's so bad for people who are marginalized right now that it might as well be an apocalyptic alien invasion. Like, that's how bad it is. And so they're just trying to tell you, like the listener, like, it's bad out there. Like, the world may as well be ending because of how terrible it is for people who are marginalized. And I thought so clever, like, to paint this story and tell you, like, it's a metaphor for like what's going on right now.
You're right.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah, very. I didn't think of it that way. Your mind flows so much more faster than mine when you read.
Oh,
Just want to let you know.
Thank you.
I love the way you explain it. I like your I like your interpretation. That's what I really like.
Right.
And it opens my mind up. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
I appreciate that. But the thing to note is, take it with a grain of salt, because again, it's just my interpretation. One thing I worry about often is when I'm like listening to all these songs and building my interpretation of things is I might be over reading, or reading too much into things. And so like, there's a good chance, like if you ask Killer Mike and LP, like you went up to them and be like, hey, what's Cult Tickerton about? Really? They might just say like, oh, an alien invasion. We just watched an alien movie before we started writing it. We were really high, so we thought it'd be funny to write a song about alien invasion. That literally could be the answer if they wanted to. But to me, like, this is what I got out of it. of course, you still have the cool flows, the analogies, the silliness of, LP and Killer Mike. Still a fantastic song. Music video is great. They hired that one animator. I forget his name, but he's the guy who does like physical rendering of like dancing humans, I guess, but like they have really long fur, and so their fur like moves around, shakes around a lot, and it's very pleasing to the eye. I've seen some of his solo stuff on YouTube, and then I saw his stuff on the video. I was like, hey, it's that guy, isn't it? And I checked, I'm like, yeah, it's him. I know that's not a very good description, but for any of you who are interested in seeing what I'm talking about, you should check out the music video. You'll see what I mean. Just people with very long, brightly colored fur kind of dancing around. You don't see any features on them because the fur is so long. But anyways, yeah, we'll jump on to the next song. Hey Kids. Hey Kids is a cool little song. Features Danny Brown. He's an interesting character. We'll talk more about him in a bit. But what's interesting, like the lyrics, obviously, again, they get very political. But what I kind of visualize in my head as I'm listening to the song is, yeah, sure, like there's some political stuff going on, but like they have kids involved as well. It's like showing kids like how to revolt, start a revolution, and tear down the bourgeoisie, And so kind of like lighthearted in that sense, but also kind of heavy at the same time. Kind of a weird contrast. Kind of like the part in the movie where the kids are like, oh, this business owner is trying to ruin Christmas for all the kids, so we're gonna go to his store and destroy all of his store stuff, the stuff he's selling. And they break in, the kids are like pushing things over, and like a pop rock song is playing in the background. Down, I don't give a damn about that bad reputation. And the kids are just breaking things, like ha ha ha, and it's a fun moment in the movie for the kids or whatever. So I'm imagining that, but with a far more heavier political message behind it. Let me give you an example. Lift up our glasses and watch your palaces burn to ashes. Fucking fascist, who the fuck are you to give 50 lashes? And so Killer Mike's going off the bat saying like, fuck you, who do you think you are, be able to take advantage and basically like be a parasite onto the poor and otherwise marginalized people. And he's saying like, I'm standing up to you, and don't forget that. So yeah, what did you think, Derrick?
I like the small messages that they hand out. I like my favorite part in the lyrics. I forgot who raps the part, but I love this part where it says, "I lived half my life to give half my cash to these half-man imps. They got half a heart. They give half a fuck, and they got half the guns." I'm like, wow, that hit super hard.
Yep.
Super hard. I was like, wow. Jesus, like, just that line in general. Like, damn. You think about it and you're like, damn. It hits hard because it's real. Like, it's real as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting to, like, see that line because when you first start listening to their lyrics, like the political stuff, you're like, oh, okay, they're anti-cop and super liberal and want to help the poor. And it's like, yeah, they do. And they are quite liberal, but they're also really anti-government in general. And so, that line kind of like speaks on it. And you realize like simply calling them liberal is not enough. They're a bit anarchist as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that line opened me up and I was like, shit. What in the right too? That hit hard. 3, I mean, it keeps going.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's a crazy song. And of course they both like spit like these heavy bars. And then we get Danny Brown. What's interesting about Danny Brown, if you've never heard Danny Brown, like I hadn't the first time I listened to this, you'll get caught off guard because Danny Brown, he's a great wordsmith as well, but his delivery is so strange. He just sounds like a crackhead who has been given a mic. And the reason I say that, not to disparage him, he's a fantastic artist, but a lot of his lyrics are about drugs and talk about doing drugs and all these things. So he's no stranger to, well, drugs in general. And so when you hear it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But I'm actually reading his lyrics right now, and that's some really good flow. It's just like the rhyme scheme that he has is very cool. Helps with the flow. But I will say though, his bars don't make as much sense as Killer Mike's and LP's. Whereas RTJ, they kind of like say like full sentences that have like full coherent thoughts to them. Danny Brown's lines are more of like kind of painting like emotions and feelings, but not really making too much sense in a literal sense, but makes sense in the feelings and that he's kind of delivering there. But yeah, he's still pretty good. Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, so let's move on to the next track, Stay Gold.
Stay Gold, very another addictive song.
Yeah, Stay Gold is really, really cool. Yeah, did you want to take it away or should I go first? All right, I'll go first then.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So the song on the surface, it just looks like they're just talking about they got this bad bitch in their life and they're kind of bragging about it like, oh yeah, she's a bad bitch and she's super cool and the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she does this and that, like, oh man, it's crazy. Like, oh, you never lived a real life until you've had your side chick like fight with your wife and all that. Like, oh, it's crazy. And I'd be thinking like, well, that's kind of weird. They're promoting infidelity. But I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like something LP and Killer Mike would ever promote. So I'm like kind of confused on why they're talking about this. But I think what it is, like this bad bitch with this gold, I don't think it's actually a person. I think they're talking about just wealth in general. Just like the fame, power, wealth, and just talking about like how that kind of changes your life, makes it cooler, obviously, but also has other impacts as well. And so they're giving a point of view of just people who are kind of enjoying it for now. But yeah, no, the hook is cold. They spell out like the flow of it is really good. G-O-L-G-O. Oh, sorry, fuck that up. But G-O-L-D-G-O-L-D. It's gold, and like, yeah, it's pretty cool. How about you? What's your take?
All right, so I like the part. I forgot who part, but it says, "Gold is shiny, gold is fun. Some like taking gold with gun. Heart ain't gold if it don't like us. We go for the gold, dumb fuck. Good luck." Saying, of course, gold catches the eye of, a normal person. And they're saying, I like the heart ain't gold if it don't like us. Saying, how do I interpret this? Like, real people. I suck at these. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm like trying to interpret this line.
Well, you don't really have to interpret it if you don't want to. Just say why it stood out to you.
Oh, it stood out to me because just shows that they have the power. They have the power. Like they're saying, if you don't like us because we're the gold, you ain't got that heart of gold. Same thing with the line. It goes down, and actually, they reference a golden boy man, good as gold. Golden rule is don't lose your soul.
Yep.
And I like that because it just tells them you can get all this good stuff, this gold, this all the goodies in the life, but don't lose your soul.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of those classic songs that a lot of rappers and other artists kind of do talk about, like with the wealth and power they gain through their success. They kind of reflect like, okay, well, how do I enjoy this without losing who I am? And of course, there's a little bit of like some political statements towards the end of the song, but yeah, it's a really, really great song and transitions really well into the next song, Don't Get Captured. And this one, again, gets a little political again, which I really like it. So this song definitely has a lot of themes of, poverty, corruption.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and they kind of like address it and say like, we don't like it, and so we're gonna propose a way we can fix it, like start fixing it at least. And it's pretty crazy. I like the part where he says, but you don't give a fuck, that's them though, till a peasant put a pistol in your window. You ain't really need that chain, you ain't really need that ring, you ain't really need them things. And so he's like saying just like, you don't give a shit about like what's going on, like people who are in power, who are privileged, who benefit from the current system, they don't give a shit about people who don't, until like that karma comes back to bite them. And it's in the form of being robbed of their chain, rings, and other things. And if, in case you don't know, run the jewels is actually slang for rob people. So like, oh, we're gonna bust in here, run the jewels, and head out. So it's like, okay, we're gonna go to this place, rob everyone of their jewelry, and head out. So right now, in that part, he's running the jewels on this person. But yeah, what I like about the song as a whole is like these kind of things kind of continue the way they kind of talk aggressively to the people who benefit from the current system. And for me, this whole song just feels like a promise or a threat to those in power. Because at first I thought, don't get captured was a warning to people like us, the marginalized. It's like, hey, don't get captured by the cops, or don't get captured by the system, because bad things will happen. But no, they're warning the people who benefit from the current system. Like, if you get captured and you have to deal with the karma of your actions, it's like you're gonna have a really bad time. And this song is gonna elaborate on all the bad things that are gonna happen to you when that time finally comes. But yeah, pretty crazy. What do you think?
So first off, I like to put the line of good day from the house of the haunted, get a job, get a house, get a coffin. Don't stray from the path, remain where you're at. That maximizes our profit. Really, really, you got to really think about that line. Because what I get out of that is as a day-to-day person, you go to work, and where you live, you get a house. Of course, that's what they're saying. Get a coffin, you die eventually. Saying don't stray from that path, remain where you're at, that maximizes our profit, is like saying a day-to-day person works, of course, for the bigger people, right?
Yeah.
You and me, we work for a higher power or higher person. Of course, they pay us, but whose profit are we actually maximizing?
Yep.
I don't know. That's what I get out of it. That's just my interpretation out of that.
You nailed it on the head. Fun fact, even though productivity has risen like 4 to 5 times over the past 5 decades or something like that, or 6 decades maybe, the pay rate of like the people who actually make these actual profits, or not profits, the production, people who are actually producing these things, has only risen by like maybe less than 2 times, something like that. In other words, even though the average worker nowadays can produce like 5 times more than they did like 60 years ago, they're only getting paid like 1.5 times more than they did 60 years ago. So where's all that extra money going? That's from all that production and profit. It's going to the rich. They're just getting richer and richer.
That's exactly
And
what I
tax
did, yeah.
rates have also gone down
thanks.
for the really rich. It's for some reason people decided like, oh yeah, if we lower the tax rate for the 1%, it'll trickle down. In fact, it doesn't. It doesn't at all, unfortunately. We would like to think that, but it does not at all. We have way more billionaires now than we ever had, and the rate billionaires have climbed is like startling. It's like up 40% over the past like 10 to 20 years, something like that. And it's like, why is that happening? Well, because of those two things that I just mentioned. There's other factors, of course, but it's like, that's completely unnecessary. And it's just taking advantage of the people who actually struggle to make ends meet and barely have enough to survive.
Yeah.
And who can't afford to go to the hospital or get sick or take time off or go on vacation. And so, yeah, they're definitely addressing that. But yeah, I do, one other thing I do like about the song is kind of, even though it's like a threat to the powers that be, they're kind of painting the imagery in a way of like, you mentioned the House of the Haunted, so a haunted house. Killer Mike earlier says, hello from a little shop of horrors. And so it's like, this is like, it's a little shop of horrors and a haunted house that scares people in power, because it's like, you're the ones like this is directed to. People who are marginalized, like, they're the ones who will be perpetuating, or not perpetuating, like, who will be rising up against you. So it's a cool song. Don't get captured. That's the one thing I have to say to anyone who benefits from the system we have right now, which I met plenty of those people at my time at Stanford. So to you, my friends, I say, don't get captured. Watch out. All right, we'll move on to the next song. Thieves Scream the Ghost. This is a crazy song. The intro is fantastic. It's like a Twilight Zone kind of intro.
Yeah.
Okay, you walk into this room at your own risk because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one.
The old one, yeah. I thought that was interesting. I was like, wow. You know, different. I never heard like this kind of intro for RTJ.
Yeah, no, it's
from what I've.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. It's crazy.
Yeah, I liked it. It was different for me.
Yeah,
different for me on them.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So, yeah, the big takeaway you take from that intro is like, expect the meaning, moral of this song, however you want to phrase it, to feel like a Twilight Zone episode. At which it does. It absolutely does. And so, I actually had... it's at this point in the album that a story actually starts to form through all the songs. So I'll actually have a little more to say. So I wanted to let you take it away first, and then I can say what I was thinking. So what do you think of the song?
So me personally, it was really hard to interpret things because the lyrics are very, I say it, very mixed with their words. Like, let me give you an example. He just leaving, and he's screaming Jesus. And then it has the parentheses. Yeah, he had the highest hopes. He had the highest hopes. People yelling, screaming at polices. Riots tonight, burning, looting, shooting, taking, thieving. Fire in the night, fire in the light. You know, it goes from, I don't know, it's just a wild intro. Wild intro. I loved it.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, so what I took away from that first verse is basically the whole song to me is just about a riot that is happening, and the riot police dealing with it are not only like doing what you expect riot police to do, which is like to quell the riot as best they can, but they're overdoing it. They're being very violent. They're abusing human rights to do it. When this song first came out, to me, I was just like, okay, so it's like a hypothetical situation I can imagine in my head. But if anyone pays attention to global politics, shit like this is currently happening in Hong Kong, in Chile, I think a little bit in Venezuela. There's another place that this is happening. Somewhere in the Middle East. I forget, was it Iraq, Iran? I forget. I apologize. But somewhere in the Middle East is happening as well. Like, a lot of riots are happening globally right now, and the police are just like shooting first, asking questions later, or beating people first, asking questions later. And you just see video after video after video of the police just like attacking innocent bystanders because like, oh, they're a rioter. Like, no, they're not. They were just walking to the store. It's like, oh, look the way they're dressed. Everyone owns a black shirt, dude. Relax. No, he's getting arrested and sent to a concentration camp. It's like, goddamn, China, slow your roll. And so it's heartbreaking to see how this became reality. So a future that might be, unfortunately, this is a future that we have right now. So that intro is quite ominous, and how well it hit the nail on the head. So good job to whoever decided to add that there. But anyways, Killer Mike starts a verse basically giving his perspective on the ground in the middle of the riot. It's like seeing all these terrible things happening. And at first you're thinking like, oh, the burning, looting, shooting, taking, thieving. To some people with certain political alignments might think like, oh, that's the rioters. Rioters do that kind of shit. But as you listen to the rest of the song, you start to question that. Like, is it actually the rioters doing that? Or is it the police? Because later, the next verse, LP, what I got from his verse is just like, he's like not chilling. He's like sitting in his apartment in a building that's like right next to the riots, and he's hearing all these things, and he doesn't want to hear the things. He hears the violence, screaming, and terrible things happening, and he just wants to sleep. He doesn't want to have to deal with it. But he has to because he's right next to it, and like he feels this heavy pain in his heart for not dealing with it. But then at the end of it, he kind of had to change her heart, because he says, "Fear's been law for so long that rage feels like therapy, but I'm gonna make them remember me. Nobody gets no more sleep till we teach them remembering." And so he basically just has it at that point. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna make sure that I'm a part of this movement and make sure like the police gets what coming to them because of what they're doing and just killing and hurting the people, even though they're not doing, even though what they're doing shouldn't merit that. And so the hook, of course, comes up, thieves, the screaming thieves. And who are the thieves? To some people, maybe it's the rioters. But to me, I don't think it's the rioters. And LP continues on. He's kind of saying what he sees on the ground now. Or, no, at this point, he's like on a balcony, kind of watching over, trying to help any way he can. But he kind of starts painting this like terrifying but strange imagery. Started with folks just crying, nothing but broken hearts, sobs, and the shriek of the sirens. Right at the spot where the blood's still drying. My God, I saw it. The dead began rising. I don't know much about science, but I seen an army of armed men stop and get quiet. And then I skip ahead a little bit. So many years of this violence. Now we're surrounded by the souls of the dead and defiant, saying, "Look what you've done. You designed it." When the bow breaks, hear the wraith scream, "Riot." And so he's saying, like, in the beginning where Killer Mike was on the ground, like he saw the police like killing and attacking these people. Like they wiped out the whole, like, everyone who was rioting, including Killer Mike, who was in there. But then LP says he saw them come back to life, and he hears them scream, "Riot." And then Killer Mike's verse, his verse, he starts by saying "riot," and so you realize LP's talking about Mike. He's saying "riot," and he's kind of talking. Killer Mike says that he's come back to fight for the things he's fighting for. So no more moms and dads crying, no more arms in the air. Yeah, I'm trying to skip ahead. He kind of says, "Karma's coming, ain't no running. Death gonna deal with the guilty man. A pound of flesh is what you owe. Your debt is due. Give up your ghost." So he's saying to them, like, we've come back from the dead. Nothing you can do can stop us because, you know, zombies, kind of hard to kill. And he's like, we're back because you're going to deliver that karma. And so to me, it just ends with the rioters who have come back from the dead just attacking and killing the police that killed them in the first place and ripping them apart. It's like a bloody end for these corrupt cops. Yeah, kind of crazy. And the song ends very, very well with that outro. You might be thinking, some people really hate riots. I understand. Many reasons to hate riots. But one thing that people often quote whenever they see riots, especially when it happens here in the States, is like, oh, well, if you really want riots, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement, they'll go, well, don't you guys know that Martin Luther King Jr., he actually hated riots. He said riots are the worst way to do things. And which anyone who's really studied MLK, not just paid attention in third grade ones, knows Martin Luther King had a lot more to say about riots. And the outro is actually a quote from one of his speeches. And it's his voice. And it says, I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. So yes, Martin Luther King has been quoted saying, I forgot the exact quote, but he basically said he doesn't like riots. But then he also says, like, we have to understand, riots, there's a reason they exist. The environmental conditions make it so that they have to occur. The language of the unheard. So when rights get violated for long enough, expect riots to happen.
Yeah, people to stand up, people to come forth, not just sit back anymore because they know it's gotten so bad. The ones their blood starts moving, they need to do something about it. They need to do something.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's so good. The writing on that and the themes that all tie together. Just amazing. But then we gotta jump into the next song, which I think is your favorite song on the album.
This is my favorite, 100%.
2100.
Once you hear that first synth, you're in for some good music.
Yeah.
Good music,
before we start talking about it,
good lyrics. Yeah.
Here's what RTJ has said about the song. They basically wrote the song for our friends, for our family, for everyone who is hurting or scared right now. Here's a song we wrote months ago. It's about fear, it's about love, and it's about wanting more for all of us.
There's so much emotion in this song.
Yep.
So much emotion. There's a bunch of different types of emotion too.
Yep. So it's kind of like a hesitant hope you feel on this song. Because they're saying like they're fighting a war right now. They're painting like this imagery of a war they have to fight. The war for basic human rights. And it's really bad. And it often doesn't look very good. But it's a song about hope. And it's like, keep that hope. Keep fighting. Don't worry. We're fighting with you. Just keep fighting. But yeah, Derrick, take it away. Because I know this is your favorite song.
Alright, so my first intake, I love the line, how long before the hate that we hold lead us to another Holocaust? Right there, I could just feel, something brewing up. Something's just brewing, it's just ready, And then he follows up with, are we so deep in it that we can't end it? So something's already brewed up and they can't stop it. It's what's done is done. Nothing's gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop, hold, never call it off. It's too clear, nuclear is too near. And the holders of the Molotov, saying it's coming. Say that revolution's right here, right now, and they ain't calling it off. So boom. He's saying something's brewed up, something's coming, and then there's no backing down. It's gonna happen. And then boom, it comes in. Right there is just the way that they come into it. God, I love it so much. The way they presented it to me is so good. Like, it got my attention. There's so many lines here that I could talk about, man.
Yeah, there really are. You just find
So
the
many
best of the best.
Okay, okay, so I love the part. It is wartime. Check your wrist. Ready, kids? Over to your right. Shine light. Got a bevy ready for the flight. I just want to live. I don't want to ever have to load clip. Only hum bliss. Saying, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He wants people to live. He doesn't ever want to go to war, do all this stuff. He doesn't want to hurt. He just wants people to be happy. He just wants people to live life, their way. God, there's so many lines here that can resonate with me. I love the part where he talks about, I am still a kid in my heart, but these motherfuckers sick. They don't give a shit, not at all. They don't even want to let you take a little piss in a pot. Like deep down inside, he's still got this childish mentality. He likes to have fun. The concept of fun is there, but there's people all around him that they're just hard motherfuckers, and they just don't care. They'll do what they need to do. They'll get their hands dirty. I don't know. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Hold on, I got one more that I want to cover before I let you go.
Yeah, go for it.
And I really like the part where they come in with cause I don't want to study war no more. I don't hate the poor no more. Getting more ain't what's more. Only thing more is the love. So when you see me, please greet me with a heart full and a pound and a hug. And I love that so much because he comes out with maybe he's reached the top and how do you say? So he's reached the top. These people with different people differently. But then as time goes by, he's like, what's the point of treating everybody differently? I treat them all the same. Poor, rich, mid class, high class. Everyone's human. And he's like, next time I see anybody, whether it's homeless or a rich man, I'm gonna treat him the same. I'm gonna give him I'm gonna give him my all my attention and give him a hug. Give him all this love that he has, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. So you basically covered all the parts I really wanted to cover. Just the imagery they point out.
Yeah.
It is wartime. Check your wrist ready, kids. And it's like that plus, I don't want to have to ever load a clip. Kind of just saying exactly what you said. Just I don't want to have to deal with it violently, but there is no other option. I cannot politely demand my rights because it'll get ignored. We have to do it in a way that isn't pretty. That's gonna make us look bad, but it's already really, really bad. And they're also talking about how the enemies to them, they have thrown away their humanity. They don't see the people who need help as human anymore. They see them as below, and it's sick. And it's how dare you look at people like that? They're a human just like you. The only difference is their environment that they've been forced into. I'm sure if you were put into their shoes and lived their life, you would behave the same way. And so they're kind of painting this imagery, but also showing a lot of empathy to you, the listener. He was just look into my eyes. I'm standing at your side for the fight. And I'm with you. And Killer Mike also says that with the line you mentioned. It's so when you see me, please greet me with a heart full and a pound and a hug. So if you ever see me out there fighting this fight, I want you to know that my heart is with you, and never lose sight of that. And so it's really good. And the hook also by Boots is the featured singer. Just really beautiful singing, and the writing's really nice. Save my swollen heart, bring me home from the dark. Kind of just get me out of this dark place. And but the only way up is to fight up. Yeah. But one other line I really wanted to point out is Killer Mike's verse, the third one, where he says, seen the devil give a sermon in the church, seen an angel dancing in the club, try to feed a baby, so I threw 1,000 in their hair and blessed her with a hug. And so he's saying he sees evil people in high places and places where they're supposed to be good, and he sees good people in bad places just trying to make ends meet, and how weird, ironic, and cruel this reality is. And I see it all the time too. You ever see those mega churches with those pastors? What's that guy's name? Joel Osteen, one of the examples of that. When floods happen around his area, instead of opening his doors, the mega church, to let people in, to find shelter from all the terrible things happening, he closed his doors, locked them, and ran away with the key so that no one could use his mega church. So he's definitely an example of a devil giving a sermon in the church. And then angels dancing in the club, just anyone you know who is trying to just survive. And so they know the only way they can survive is, by dancing in the club.
Something that makes them, feel human or make them feel good.
Make them feel good, but also just putting, making ends meet, Maybe they're a stripper in a club, making those tips, and that's the only way they could pay rent and buy food for their baby, which is why Mike throws 1,000 in the air. So he gives her this money. He's like, here, have this. And I know this is what you're doing just to survive, so I'm gonna try to help you with it. So, yeah. I could talk more about this song, but really, we gotta move on. It's such a good song. It's very emotional. There's a ton of emotions going into this. It's hard to really elaborate and get into the nitty-gritty details. But we gotta jump forward to the next track, Panther Like a Panther. I love this one because it's the opposite side of the coin from 2100.
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
Because it's very out there in lyrics. The energy is much higher, very cocky, very fun. Yeah. So the intro to LP, it sounds like he's giving a spoken word poem, and he just starts by saying I'll flood the speakers with heat seekers and keep sneakers cleaner than nunnery pussy. Evening of Easter, I'll live my prints on her keister. I suck the clit and release it if it will please to her. I'll kneel to her, best believe I'll make a meal of her. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, as he's saying thank you, you hear snaps, claps, and this woman saying, yes, yes, brilliant. And it's so funny. And what's interesting is LP starts with this imagery of talking to a preacher about this woman he loves. And maybe he's the preacher's wife. And Killer Mike also talks about in his verse having a fling with the preacher's wife also. And the lyrics are kind of grotesque and kind of silly, kind of out there. But I think that's kind of the point. Kind of just being really, really out there. And I think the point of them being really out there, because as I mentioned before, it's at this point of the album where a story starts to unfold for me. So the last track kind of gives you the setting of how everything's going and where they at. So they're in the middle of a war. Panther Like a Panther, I think, is them performing this live, but the reason they're doing it is to attract the attention of the corrupt system. And so you get things like a news network like Fox News, who was recording and being look how grotesque they are. How dare they be so gross and say these terrible things? They're gonna be punished by God. Oh my God, he's talking about sleeping with the preacher's wife. Oh my God, how disgusting. And they're using it as a distraction to infiltrate the system, the White House, or the tower where the evil corruption is centered in, whatever. I don't know if the analogy in my mind is in real life right now society or just a fantasy society, if you will. I haven't decided that yet, but in my head they're using it as a distraction, and every time they switch off who's rapping, the other person is working on a way to break in. So LP starts, so Killer Mike is doing something, and the hook comes on, Killer Mike starts rapping, and LP's working on something, but everyone's eyes, including the corrupt system, is on that performance that's currently happening, but not on the obvious them working on trying to break in. So I think that's the purpose of this song, really.
I'd like to add on to that.
Yeah,
how they have this image, Fox News looking at them, wow, these degenerates or whatnot. And I'd like to add this line that says, "We the grimy and gritty made it to the Grammy committees." I was that's so clever. Freaking guys, they're so clever with their words. And then I love the part, "And I refuse to play the humble as, oh my dick itty bitty, got a banana dick, your bitch go ape shit if she hit it."
Yeah, I love that part.
I love that line.
So good.
they're so clever. Oh man. But yeah, same thing. Their image, they're trying to put it out there. They're trying to get this attention. They're trying to get the attention, all the attention they can get, to break in. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. There's one other line LP, I just want to point out. Welcome to Fuck You Palooza. We bruising any who moving. Who want to stand for these douches? You raise a hand, you lose it. And so he's just like opening, threatening anyone. Like, who here supports the current system? Because if you do, we're going to cut off your hand. And it's like, holy shit. That's so like unnecessarily violent. But again, I think it's just because they're trying to attract as much attention as they can, just by being as out there as possible. And there's more to this song we can talk on, but we got to move on. Next song, Everybody Stay Calm. I don't have too much to say about this. Not that it's a bad song. It's a fun song. But there isn't too much going on in terms of story. Nothing new really happening in this one. Basically, the song is about defiance. Just being like, I won't stay calm while this system is in place. I'm going to keep making the moves I have to make to fight for the rights of myself and everyone else. But yeah, that's basically what this song is about. In my head, the story that's taking place at this point is they've started infiltrating the place, and they're kind of doing it quietly. And at this point, the concert's still going on, but they have holograms performing, so it still distracts people, but they're actually like infiltrating the place as it's going on. So people are still distracted, but they're in. So they're trying to be like as calm as possible so they don't get caught or anything like that. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the song. What about you?
So what I get out of it, just them being like in this line I read, I'm a goddamn savage, you with no hands, I don't even use napkins. Saying, just a rebel.
Yeah.
Just
throughout the
rebelling.
album, LP and Killer Mike have no quarrel with tarnishing the reputation that they have, because if their reputation can be tarnished by saying something like that, it's because you already hate them or are looking for a reason to hate them. People who really know them, who really like them, like understand what they're doing, understand their message. And so it's like, yeah, I'm a savage. I eat eat my hands with no napkins. Like, ooh, so crazy, right?
And then I'd like to add on, I love the line that this says, they fucked up and paid us, made us dangerous, too old to change. I'm gonna stay with the paper. Poor folk love us, the rich hate our faces. We talk too loud, we won't remain in our places. Saying, you guys made us this way, and you guys hate us now, but we're gonna stay with our people. We're gonna stay with people who supported us, not you guys.
Yeah, another way to phrase that part is just like, he's saying, you saw a way to make money off of us, so you marketed us, and yeah, you made your money, congrats, but now we have the attention of the marginalized, the poor, and now we've become a bigger beast than you know how to deal with. And so, sucks for you, but works out for us, and we won't remain in our places. And if you're wearing headphones while you're listening to this part of the song, you'll notice that his voice kind of goes from like the left to the right channel. It's not a unique feature, but this is the only point in the album that happens, and so it's like pleasant, like a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, cool, I like that little effect. But yeah, definitely a good part of the song.
Yeah, and then the end of the song. Take it easy, partner. Ain't no chillin' in the land of the villains. Ain't no chillin'. Ain't no chillin'. Saying. So, it's just the land of the villains, pretty much.
Yep. I mean, when you're fighting an evil, there's no time to rest. No rest for the wicked, and no rest for those who are fighting the wicked. Yeah. All right. Let's hop on to the next song. Oh Mama. Oh Mama, a fantastic song.
Very.
Yeah, there's a music video for it in collaboration with Adult Swim. It's a music video that has Rick and Morty in it. And so if you like Rick and Morty, highly recommend checking out the music video. It's cool. It's fun. It's a good time. But basically the imagery I'm putting in my head in this one is they've infiltrated and they deactivated the main defense system that prevented people from like breaking in the first place. And they gave the signal, and now people are just charging. And so while, the guards or whatever are dealing with the people outside, Mike and LP are already on the inside and fighting from the inside, trying to infiltrate trying to find the final boss and to fight them. And so there's a lot of imagery of just them loading up their gun, fighting just a lot of fighting, doing what they need to do. Yeah, go for it.
Can I add on to that? So, title of the song is "Oh Mama," and what they're displaying is things that you wouldn't want your mom to see you do.
Yeah,
pretty much, and they just take that to heart, and I love the hook.
Yeah, I know that I'm not living right. She said I'm crying on you. She said I waited up for you all night. Right. I said I'm trying, Mama.
Trying, Mama. And he's like, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to change the way things work up here. He's definitely putting effort into that change, sticking to the mission. What he talked about in the previous song.
Yeah, for sure. The hook is definitely worth mentioning, because you get the imagery in your head, like, although everyone knows that they're fighting for a good cause for everyone around them, parents, especially mothers, like, they understand that, but at the same time, it's like, they're still children of their mothers, and of course the mothers only want them to be safe. And so them risking their lives like this, putting their neck out like this, it causes a lot of worries for the mom. And they're aware of this as well, and so it kind of puts a stress on them. It's like, yeah, Mom, I know you don't want me doing this because it puts me at risk, but there's just things I have to do. So I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have to do this. And so, yeah, you get a lot of that.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of good bars in here. But, the song is just them talking about the things they fight for. And what they need to do to make things better for themselves and have a better future. But yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the video, listening to the songs. And so by the end of this track, in my head, the story that's being painted, like, they fought their way through, they're dealing with like the fact they're stressing out their loved ones because they're putting themselves in a risky position. But at the very end, they kick down the doors of the final boss, and they finally confront him, and they're ready to fight. And so the next song is how this confrontation plays out. Next song is called Thursday in the Danger Room. Now, before we get into what the song's about, I want to continue painting that imagery in my head. So, they kick down the door, they're ready to fight, but then in my head, I just see like the room suddenly filling up with like a blue-gray smoke or a fog. It's super thick, they can't really see anything. But then they both get zapped. And the reason I say zapped specifically, because if you listen to the song, you'll hear a lot of like electrical sounds, I guess, if you will. And so they both get zapped, but it has this very terrible and terrifying effect on them. And let's talk about what this effect is. So, this song is pretty straightforward. It's a verse from LP, a hook, a verse from Killer Mike, a hook, and that's it. And what the song talks about is basically each verse is a story that LP and Killer Mike tell. And basically they talk about loved ones, like people close to them who they've lost, who have died. And they kind of talk about how terrible that whole experience was. And in my head, the reason they're talking about this is because that zap has not only changed the way they're thinking, but has demoralized them and sent their brain in a chemical imbalance that has them reliving the lowest point of their lives. And so what better way to quell a riot than by removing all motivation from someone by making them depressed, So, LP's verse kind of gets into, man, it's really hard to like quote any of this without quoting the whole thing because he's just writing.
It's all one thing. Yes.
Yeah, his writing is like so honest, and just like his emotions are so genuine and heartbreaking. I will warn any listeners, like if you're listening to the song for the first time and you're not exactly emotionally stable, this is the song that will make you cry. Just both verses are so heartbreaking. Just talking about how these losses impact them. LP's focus is more on his personal relationship with the person he lost. Yeah. He's talking about like, how do you deal with like one of your best friends dying, and like you still want to make him laugh, still have jokes with them, and you see them getting weaker and weaker every day by this illness that's killing them slowly. And like, how do you deal with that? And it's just so heartbreaking. And he's like there's some really honest moments. Like one part, how do you feel about yourself when you know that sometimes you had wished they were gone, not because you didn't love them, but just because you felt too weak to be strong. And so he's saying like I've had moments where, you know, I wish this was kind of over because it's so exhausting to like have to deal with this every day. And he feels bad about it. He feels tremendous guilt about it, or else he wouldn't be talking about it. And like, I totally, you know, kind of have to empathize with that. Like, yeah, it sucks. With Killer Mike's verse, the story he talks about is, sure, someone that was also close to him passed away, but his story is more focused on the effects it has on this friend's family. Yeah. And how their passing basically got rid of like not only the person themselves and the emotional support they had for the family, but this person was also the source of income for his young family. And their death also kind of like breaks apart the rest of the family.
Sure.
And it's just terrible how like it all falls apart. The mother who's left behind as a single mother just has no source of income. She can't depend on grandparents because they're going through too much pain as well. And so she's now stuck on her own because he's gone. And yeah, both stories are just painfully tragic. Yeah, what did you think, Derrick?
All right, so my first intake, I love the line that he said, LP says, figure out quickly that nothing gets answered. When you ask the universe why, life is a journey. To live is to worry, to love is to lose. Your damn mind. And I was like, damn, you know, he just went straight for the heart there. He's just speaking through emotion. That's not that. You can call it creative, but that's just emotion. He's just, you know, letting it all out in a song. He's getting stress out pretty much. This is therapy. You gotta take into consideration, you know, music to them isn't just making money and like sending the word out, but it's also for them personally. You know, this is how they deal with life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the hook, and I guess I'd say I'll see you soon, but the truth is that I see you now. So he's trying to be, you know, hopeful, you know, trying to be positive. Still talk to you like you're around. I guess I say you left too soon, and then he gets sad. But the truth is that you never left, because I never let myself forget. You know, it's like up and down in the hook, emotionally wise. And in Killer Mike's, I really feel him on the part that says, then called baby mama and told her I'm sorry. Can't keep her no more. I have tried. No killer was captured, but I know he's listening. So I'd like to tell you in a song. The streets was a jungle. I pray that you made it. I hope that you righted your wrongs. I hope that you learned. I hope that you changed so your mama won't know this pain. That really, really, you know, touches somebody. Those lines right there, they really, really touch.
Yep. Super very, personal very lyrics. Yeah. This is one of the songs it's just hard to talk about. Like, you have to listen to it, just experience it.
I'm getting chills just talking about it.
Yeah. I've definitely, like, the first couple times I listened to this, I definitely cried at some points, or at least had watery eyes for sure, because of the emotion is so raw, so honest. It's crazy stuff. I remember one fun fact about this song is when interviewed about it, LP said, like, oh, we'll never perform this live because it's too personal. But then
and I truly feel it. Yeah.
but then a year later, they actually performed the song.
Wow.
I guess they got to a point where they felt
They
comfortable
could,
enough,
yeah, they felt comfortable enough,
and like
right?
they felt like, okay, we can actually put this out there, and maybe it was to do with the positive reception this song got, that people loved the song, and it's like, we would love to see you perform it live, and they're like, oh, okay, so if people want to show us love, if we're like, okay, yeah, why not? So, really, really good song. Not entirely sure what Thursday in a Danger Room refers to.
I think it's just idle.
Yeah, it's
I
one of
don't
those
know.
titles where it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I couldn't figure nothing out.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, in terms of the story in my head, at the end of the song, Killer Mike and LP are able to kind of somewhat break out of the trance because they realize they have each other to depend on.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, sure, I'm reflecting on this dark moment in my life, but at least I have someone, a support system there to help me through it and help fight through it. Unfortunately, they're still kind of stuck in that thinking. Like, they've broken out of the spell, but they're still, like, their motivation is still gone. Like, they didn't gain it back that they had when they first broke in. So they feel kind of disoriented, kind of like morals, their morality is gone. Or not morality. Basically their morale, I should say.
Yes.
And then as we transition into the last song, what I'm imagining in my head in a report to the shareholders, they're kind of walking out of this palace or fortress, whatever you want to call it. And the people who were fighting on the outside kind of see them walking out, and they're like, wait, did we win? What happened? And they realize they look like, they don't look happy. They're not celebrating. It's like, did we lose? Like, what? And eventually LP and Killer Mike realize, like, all these people are turning to them for answers and, like, what's going on. And they don't know how to, like, start talking about what happened because of all the things they just went through in that last song. And so LP kind of looks around and he, like, figures, like, I have to say something, but what can I say? And then he sees a riot officer on horseback, and he just says, first thing on the song, he just says, beware of horses. And he realizes that doesn't make any sense. And so he continues by saying, I mean, a horse is a horse, of course, but who rides is important. And then he starts to talk about, like, beware of those who want to hold you down, who want to take away your rights, who want to be as oppressive as possible, those who are not afraid to throw away their humanity to dismiss yours. And he kind of keeps talking about it, and he's still demoralized. Like, his delivery on this isn't like upbeat or anything. He's kind of like, this sucks and it's heartbreaking. The part he says, like, hey, we're not from the same part of town, but we both hear the same sound coming. And they mimic a police siren, and it sounds like war, and it breaks our hearts. And he's kind of being very honest. This song, like, kind of a very honest delivery, just like I didn't plan to be who I am to all of you when I first started Run the Jewels. 100%. I thought I could make a quick buck. Maybe I get some daps, some props, and I thought that would be it. But no, we're here now, and it's kind of surreal, and I don't know what to do with it. And at one point he says, some days I might be wrong. Maybe that's why me and Mike get along. So kind of reflecting again, like, even though I have all this doubt and all this negativity stuck in my head, Mike is still supporting me and helping me through it. And then we jump to, Killer Mike's verse. And he's a little more focused, and he's just saying, like, our goals are still the same. Let's kill our masters and start again. We have to stop the devil in all of his tracks. Doesn't matter how we do it, but we gotta stop the evil. And he's talking about, like, all the backlash he's faced from trying to be more political, trying to be more involved in preserving and protecting our rights. and the backlash he's faced and how demoralizing that often is. And he has a line that says, LP told me, fuck them devils, Mike. We gonna be millionaires. I respond with a heavy yeah. Big Bruh says, fuck that, toughen up. And so he's saying that LP is there to support him as well. And so they're saying they're like, we're here, we're still ready to fight, and there's still more of a fight to do.
For sure.
I have L has me, so let's get ready to fight. And as the transition goes over to the second half of the song, which is called Kill Your Masters, you hear the melody, the tempo go from like melodic and kind of somber and kind of slow, and it suddenly transitions to like very like heavier, higher like BPM. Suddenly gets way more intense. And I imagine during this transition, in terms of the story in my head, they're addressing the people, but during that transition, suddenly the system, like the thing that deactivated to like break in the first place, gets reactivated. A new surge of these cops come in, start attacking the people again. All these terrible things start happening, and suddenly Killer Mike and LP are just remotivated. They've regained all their motivation to stop this evil system, and they transition to the next part of the song. But before I go into that, Derrick, what do you think of the first half of the song?
So my intake is, I'm going to repeat your first line. I mean, horse is a horse, of course, but who rides is important. Sitting high with a uniform, barking orders, demanding order. So, of course, that tells me people of higher power always telling you what to do, always demanding stuff from you, always giving you, a limited amount of power, of course, limited amount of power. And from what I also get from that is I like the line that says, maybe give a little back, like, here, I can do what I can. It's all jokes and smoke till the truth starts scheming. Can't contain the disdain for y'all demons. So, he's also saying, I can help with what I can, but I can't do everything. And plus, you guys are the ones, helping out with this war or
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on. I also like the part where it says it's on Killer Mike's, I think, for sure. Oh, here we go. Okay. This is after the part where they're getting their motivation back, and I like the part. He says, "We the gladiators that oppose all Caesars coming soon on a new world tour. Probably play the score for the World War. At the apocalypse, play the encore." I'm like, hell yeah! Like the motivation they just got their second win. They're coming back full force. In the intro there was like slow, and then now they're building up. This is it. And then Kill Your Masters comes through. Boom.
So the part where you talked about the disdain for y'all demons, the lines after that I actually really love. Again, he says, disdain for y'all demons. You talk clean and bomb hospitals, so I speak with the foulest mouth possible. And so it's like, damn, like that's so true. Like all these politicians that come up are like, we have to send the troops to these other places so we can protect our freedom, our democracy, our way of life, or whatever. And it's like the end result of the things that they quote unquote have to do is bombing innocent civilians, killing innocent people. And it's like, I don't want to be involved in that. And since the way you talked was so professional, yet the actions you did were so inhumane and so terrible and disgusting, I'm going to make sure that I present myself the complete opposite of you, so I never get associated with you, because you're evil. You literally serve an evil power. And so to do that, he says, like, y'all talk clean and bomb hospitals, so I'm gonna be cussing up a storm all the time, so I don't talk like you. I want to talk like myself. But anyways, I just want to highlight that line because it's so good. But anyways, yeah, you were saying about
really
Kill Your Masters, which is the second half of this track.
Yeah, Kill Your Masters. My favorite part is the crowd's awaken, they can't disperse us. We ain't at your service. Won't stay sedated, won't state our numbers for names and remain faces. Boom, they're just like, the people are, they know what's going on now. They know what's going on now, and you're not gonna separate us. And this is our time, and we're not working for you either.
Yep.
And I love that part. It's like, we the people. Like, that's what they're saying, we the people. And I love that so much.
The second half of the track, Kill Your Masters, like I said, the energy comes back up. They're motivated once again, ready to fight the good fight. And what's really cool about this verse, it features Zach De La Rocha, which, if you don't know who Zach De La Rocha is, he was actually the lead singer in Rage Against the Machine. So if you liked their music or what they were about, it should be no surprise to hear him on this track. He's actually worked with RTJ in the past, especially in RTJ2. The track he's featured on there is so good. We'll maybe talk about it another time, but it's really, really well done. And he is not shy about talking about the things that need to get done. He opens his verse with killing children of men on the throne. And it's like, holy shit. Like, he's ready to like make sure these evil powers not only die, but stay dead. And that there's no chance of like a generational resurgence. He's not shy to say any of that. But yeah, he delivers fantastic verse. Part of it you already quoted. Killer Mike LP, yeah, back with guns reloaded, just firing. Just
second wind, yes.
Yeah, so good. And of course the hook is just like repeating that mantra, kill your masters. kill your masters. It's just like, oh, so good. But yeah, in my head, the story that I paint by the end of this song, which is the last song on the album, they're fighting, doing all this fighting, and it ends with Killer Mike and LP fighting. They're back to back, fighting off all the evil around them, and they see like that final boss come back, and he's about to attack them, and they both draw their weapons, point it at him, and about to pull the trigger, but then the screen just goes black. And the reason for that, like, yeah, it's a cliffhanger, and cliffhangers often suck. But what I think what this album's trying to tell you, and what this song is trying to tell you, is like all these terrible things and the fight against these terrible things are still happening. There is no resolution. It hasn't happened yet. It's up to us to see these resolutions through. And so that's why the hook is kill your masters. It's not saying I'm going to kill my masters. It's saying to the listener, like, you need to fight this evil. It's here, and it's going to stay here unless you do something. So go do it. Because I was trying to tell you, like, LP and Killer Mike, they're still fighting today. They almost finished it off, but they didn't. And so this fight is still going on and will go on for some time, especially in this political climate.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And with that, yeah, we wrap up RTJ3. Just a phenomenal album.
Very phenomenal.
So good. Now, there's one thing I wanted to quote before I forget. We mentioned a lot about politics in this album. It's very obvious where they stand. However, it's worth mentioning that they did a Tiny Desk concert for NPR. Fantastic performance. If you want to see who they are and how they perform and the brotherhood they have, this NPR Tiny Desk concert of Run the Jewels is a great way of seeing it. It's really, really fun. But they have a quote at the end of it that I think is worth repeating on here. What they say at the very end of the performance is, at some point in the future, they're going to try and label us a political rap group, and that we are not. We do not care what political party you belong to. We don't care who you supported. We don't care what you are doing tomorrow politically. We care that socially, every one of you know you are absolutely born free, and nothing has a right to interrupt that freedom. We love you. So yes, their lyrics are often quite political, but they're saying like, but we are not a political group in itself. Like, we don't really follow politics too closely. We just believe in personal freedom. And so in this episode, I'm guilty of labeling them as a political rap group because that's the way I see it. But the way they see it, it's completely different. But yeah, so just in case you weren't sure how they stood in terms of politics, or whether you agreed with them or not, or however you felt about all this, just know that Killer Mike and LP believe in our rights to personal freedom. That no one has the power to take it away from you. Not a single person, thing, or idea has that right to take it away from you. Live free, and remember, we love you. But yeah, any other last notes you want to add to the album?
I could tell you for a fact that I listened to 2100 at least 400 in 2018.
Hell yeah. No, that's a song definitely worth playing on repeat.
Played it at least 2-3 times a day. Very, 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 I just love this song. Nothing else on top of that other than a great thank you for having me on your podcast.
Okay, I guess we'll do the outro right now then. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for joining me on this episode of the podcast. A huge shout out to Derrick, my guest. Thank you once again for being on and for your overwhelming support throughout all of my episodes. My episodes have been far from perfect from time to time, but your kind words have been hugely motivational, and I appreciate your positive energy. It really does mean a lot to me, and that the kind words and you being on here. And I hope I can continue to count on your support, as I hope I can continue to count on support of all of my listeners.
Yeah, of course. You make great content. I definitely love them all. Very interesting stories that you told on the other ones. I like the relations you have with all the other people that you've done the podcast with. I really love those small adventure talks that you have in the beginning. I also like listening about the different alcohols and your take on them. And I really like also that you explain, if you like this kind of taste, you'll like this alcohol. You give your experiences, pretty much your take on it, and I really love it.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess the way I see it, it's just we all have a story to tell. Our views on life, our truths should be shared, should be told. And I often find myself saying some of the same stories over and over again, so I figured I'd record some of these stories and put them out there to anyone who wants to listen. And once again, support like yours means the world to me. This episode, we decided to do something a little different. As you may have noticed, we only talked about the one album, RTJ3. The reason for that was because I knew this was an album that meant a lot to not only me, but to Derrick as well. It's something we both really, really loved. And so I want to be sure to have as much time as possible for us to really elaborate everything we had to say about this album. And I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that you were able to speak your mind about this album, Derrick. So thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah, I had a great time, reading about their lyrics, putting the puzzles together, putting the story together with you. Really, really, great.
Yeah, well, I had a fantastic time. I may do this again in the future where we just focus on one album at a time. But we'll see. I'll experiment. Maybe some episodes one way, some episodes the other way. Who knows? But all I know for sure is I'm excited to keep doing this for as long as I can. As long as people will listen, I'll keep talking.
Hey man, whatever, motivates you.
Indeed.
Live your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's my life, my freedom to do whatever I want. And same to you, listener. You have the freedom to live your life as long as you live it with love and compassion. I support it. So, I think I'm going to call it there. Have a nice day, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.